Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. So for the first reading today, we're gonna do a pick a lollipop, and it's gonna be about yes or no, or an explanation about whatever situation you're thinking about. It's a general reading, so the message resonates, then you can let it stick. If it doesn't, then let it fly. Everyone has free will. Yada yada yada. I'm sure you already know. Um, but yeah, we have 4 piles today. Sorry, this angle is kind of weird. It's the best I can do for today, but I'll show you the lollipops up close, so don't worry. You can still pick it accurately, even with this weird angle. Yeah, so here's the close up for pile 1. Let's close up for pile 2. Here's the close up for pile 3. And here's a close up for pile 4. Okay, so take as much time that you need to pick a card, pick a lollipop. You can pause the video and you can find the timestamps down below in the description or in the pinned comment, or if I can do it, I think I'll put it in the chapters as well. But yeah, I'll see you in your respective reading. Thanks so much for being here. Hi, pile 1. I'm gonna do a little bit of a breakdown for this reading. So first, we'll do an energy check. It's gonna be checking how you are in your life in general. If this part doesn't resonate with how you're feeling about your life, then I would suggest checking out the other piles. If none of those messages resonate as well, then there's probably not a reading for you today in this video. Sorry. But yeah, and then we'll do a few cards about your situation, like the nature of the situation, and then we'll see the answer of yes or no to whatever question you're asking. It could be about an action on your part, or it could be about something out of your control. Depends on whatever question you have in mind, but we'll see. And then we'll do what you can do, like your advice about the situation specifically, that can help bring about the result quicker or a desirable result. So for example, if you wanted the answer to be yes, but it turned out to be no, then the advice could be about how you can turn that around, because energy is ever changing. So nothing is fixed, nothing is set in stone. So you can always alter whatever happens in the future. And then finally, we'll get into an advice portion. It's going to be general advice. Doesn't have to relate to this situation specifically. It's just advice about where you should focus on in your life right now. Yeah, so let's get into it. So first one, your energy check is going to be death. Okay, so death is about change, it's about transformation, it's about a transitional stage. So I'm guessing you're in a transitional stage in your life, or some change has happened really recently or will happen soon. That is like a major thing in your life. I'm also kind of getting the feeling that this change is not going to be like a surprise. Like on paper it might seem like a surprise, but I think deep down you always knew that this change was necessary or was coming. I'm also seeing this figure like lying down. Might be they're like dead in this picture because death. I'm thinking maybe to bring about this change, you had to like cut out certain things in your life, or the universe had to cut out certain things in your life on your behalf, to make this change happen. And you're kind of dealing with the repercussions of that, like the consequences of cutting out some part in your life. It might not be a good part, but it was like a big part in your life. That's what I'm hearing. And you're kind of like grieving that, but also like looking forward to the future. You can see there's someone like pleading here too. So I think maybe in your social circles, there are people who are kind of like guilting you or like questioning you about this this, whoever this is or whatever this is, you had to cut out. Maybe not everyone around you agree with your decision or agree with what happened if it was out of your control, and they're trying to like ask you about it and like make you have to feel like you owe them an answer. But I think ultimately, whatever this situation is, I think this situation has a lot to do um, with your like life in general. I think you think about the situation a lot, and I think ultimately you have to go through this journey alone, this change, this transformation. Um, yeah. So yeah, if that sounds like you, then keep listening because we'll get into the meaty parts. Okay, spirits, what is the situation that pile one is thinking about? What's the nature of that situation? Okay, and then we'll do one card to see if it's a yes or no in the situation you're thinking about. Yes or no, spirits. Yes or no. Whatever pile one is thinking about. And then, so we're gonna pull a few cards for the explanation of whatever this card is gonna be, like yes or no. Spirits, why is this a yes or why is this a no? Okay. I think we'll pull one more card from the Rider-Waite deck as well, because I feel called to. One card. Spirits, explanation, or any further context that would be beneficial to know about. Also, I have to say that the way that I usually do readings is I don't take reversals. So if anything comes out in reverse, I'll just pull it back up to upright. That's just how I choose to do it. Other people might take reversals, but this is just my way of reading tarot. Yeah. Okay. So we'll see what the situation is. We already have the Magician. See what this card is. The Six of Cups. Okay. I think whatever situation you're dealing with, it's something that has to do with your inner child. Maybe like really fond memories that you had. This card, Six of Cups, talks all about memories and home and that feeling of comfort and like nostalgia. So I think it has to do with something that is, maybe some part of you have shut off for a long time. It's like kind of coming back into play. The Magician is about kind of creating the life that you want, and like everything is what you make it to be kind of energy. So I think if we're thinking about this relating to this, I think this change or this situation is something that you very much intentionally try to bring about. It's I think it's what you think would bring you a lot of fulfillment and a lot of nostalgia, a lot of good memories, and you make more memories that kind of remind you of the memories you once had, if that makes sense. I think whatever this situation is, or could be person, could be or whatever it is, I think it is a very like wholesome kind of energy, and like you're really wanting this to work out. Yeah, there's a lot of repeating like complementary colors as well, like this kind of orangey with this teal. So that color combination could be significant. or when you see that color combination anywhere, it could be like a sign that this, whatever this is, you know, coming. Yeah, not much to say here. It's pretty straightforward. It's also it gives like a very fairy tale vibes, because both of these, well, all of these cards are based on fairy tales for this deck of tarot of the divine, but I'm feeling like really strong like fairy tale vibes here. So maybe you're working on a fairy tale book or something that you feel like it's like almost too good to be true, you know, like something that it's like you can only read in fairy tales, you can only read in books, something like that. Okay, we're gonna see if it's a yes or no now. Okay, Nine of Coins. Okay, so I'm leaning towards yes a lot. This seems like kind of a dream that you're asking about, like something that you wanted to do. Oh, another interpretation is maybe you wanted to do this for a long time, but you didn't know how, or like whatever in your life, there's like a certain thing in your life that might have blocked you from it. And since you have this death of like cutting out things that don't serve you, and you had this like major transformation, you finally can do whatever that whatever this is. You finally can do something that makes you happy and like makes you feel like magic is real. With Nine of Coins here, I'm seeing like really good, like fruitful. Yeah, the word fruitful is kind of coming. I think whatever you are asking about, it's gonna bring you a lot of achievements. It could be like unconventional achievements, like things that other people don't really consider as achievements or as um, wins, but you see that as winning in your own mindset. Yeah, and we have that color combination of orange and teal again here. So that's like a really good sign. Like the orange and teal is kind of like in the background a little bit. So like it feels like whatever you do here, the results might not come quickly, but in the long term, it's gonna be like super beneficial to you. So whatever question that you had before, the answer is more leaning towards yes, if you're asking spirits, obviously. Um, yeah, I'm seeing a lot of happiness, a lot of fulfillment, just like the feeling of fulfillment. Something about like things that feel like a personal win to you and doesn't have to be like the conventional way to be successful, if that makes sense. Yeah, it's really good vibes here. Okay, now we'll see what actions that you can take or like what mindset that you can be in that will bring about this quicker, because I feel like maybe you wanted this to be yes, but again, like you know yourself best. But if you didn't want this to be a yes, then this will be advice on how to turn this yes into a no. But if you wanted this to be yes, then this is gonna be how you can bring this about like sooner or like more efficiently. So we have King of Cups, the High Priestess, and Queen of Swords. Interesting. So we have a queen and a king here. So I think the advice for you is to be. I'm seeing like you can see this dragon king, and he's not like. He's kind of like hoarding this pearl to himself. He's not like sharing it, and he looks kind of like menacing too. So maybe you are a little bit menacing. No, I'm just kidding. But I think what you should do is to maybe you are very excited about whatever this situation is, or like project or person, relationship, opportunity, whatever. Whatever this thing is, you are probably very excited about it, but this is advising you to not share that how deep you feel about this to just anyone. You can definitely share it to the people around you or like people you trust, but this is saying like if you kind of broadcast this too much, then it might kind of lose the spark, and like there's gonna be maybe too much of a noise or like outside input that you probably don't need in this situation. Because I feel like with this card, the situation feels very intimate and like kind of like private. So like yeah, I think you're being advised to not, if you want to have this, yes, like have this feeling of fulfillment later, then I think you shouldn't tell this to too many people. That makes sense. With this Queen of Swords, it's kind of like complementing this as well. Like King of Swords is about like being emotionally mature, but like kind of like keeping it private to yourself. But this Queen of Swords is giving like, if other people talk shit about whatever this is, you need to stand your ground. It feels like maybe you in the past are very like a people pleaser, and maybe that's what you've been trying to like move through and trying to change in your life. But with this Queen of Swords, I think it's like, if other people, if the people around you don't consider this event, this situation to be like potential, like to have potential, then you don't really need to listen to them. I feel like you in your soul, you know that this is good for you specifically. So you need to follow that. And like, if people talk shit about it, you need to stand up and like fight for it for yourself to have this thing in your life. Because I feel like it's gonna bring you a lot of good, a sense of accomplishment, and like it's gonna bring you a lot of fruit, like it's gonna bear fruit in your life, metaphorically and or literally, if you are into like gardening and stuff. I don't know why my mind just goes there, but yeah, this just tells you to not give a shit about like conventional values of what is like fulfillment, what is success. You need to go with your own meter of success. And then the High Priestess, this just kind of like confirms these two that I already talked about. The High Priestess talks about like having a lot of knowledge and intuition and like inner wisdom that you already know that you have. So this is just kind of further telling you to kind of trust your own intuition, and whatever knowledge you have about this that could help you, maybe it's okay to be a little bit selfish and like keep that to yourself, because you deserve it. I'm hearing like you really deserve whatever this situation will bring about to you. But you, so like, it's really good to share usually, but I think in this situation, maybe like keeping it to yourself, it's like really important, because that's what I keep hearing over and over. And trust yourself about the situation. Yeah. Okay. So finally, we'll use the Oracle deck that I have for some general advice on where you should go from here. These advice are for this situation in specific, but these advice that I'm gonna pull out here is gonna be about your life in general. So spirits, what should pile 1 do? What should they focus on? Just in general, what advice do you have for them? I'll pull out 3 cards maybe. Okay, one more spirits. Okay, so we have restoration, we have the elements, and we have maternal energy. Interesting. For restoration here, usually this card, it gives me kind of like 7 of Swords vibes, like kind of like someone's cheating on you and like not showing exactly who they are to you. based on the image, not based on the text. The text is kind of different. But in this sense, I feel like this is touching on the kind of selfish energy here. And I feel like, I don't know why, like spirits is telling you to kind of like actively try to think for yourself, like think for your own benefit more. Maybe you have been a people pleaser, and like you have been like kind of panning yourself out too thin in the past, and that's what you're being called to let go. So this restoration feels like maybe you let go of a big part of your life, so it's time to restore, not restore that part or like trying to replace it, but rather trying to like mourn it. That's what I'm hearing. Try to grieve whatever part that you left behind, but also restore your own health, restore your own happiness with other things that might fit more. Yeah. And then the elements here, I think it's telling you to focus on just the small things in life. Like everything is kind of an element for like a bigger thing. At least that's how I see it, or like that's what spirits is coming through to tell me about. Yeah, it feels like you have like certain things that in your life, like just small things that kind of like accumulate to a bigger impact. So for example, if you've been feeling kind of fatigue, or like if you've been feeling kind of like chaotic, like sporadic, like your mindset is kind of like that, maybe like fixing little things in your life that you don't really see the correlation might lead to a better impact. And finally, we have maternal energy. So this is the fairy godmother. If my phone can focus on it, please. Okay. So maternal energy, I think it's about like, maybe you need to be more like your own maternal energy, or maybe you should connect with your maternal figure, whatever that is. It doesn't have to be your mom or your guardian or whatever. It could be a friend that has like very strong like mom vibes, you know? Yeah, I think this is calling to restore your inner child by connecting with someone that can nurture it. So like a mother kind of figure. That's the best way I can put it. The focus is kind of going crazy. Sorry for this. But yeah, I think in general, you're just being called to, just focus on restoring certain parts of your life, and like focus on the small things that you didn't pay as much attention as you should have before, and just trust yourself in this situation, and keep it to yourself for now. You can share your wealth later when you have it, but wealth as in both literally and metaphorically, or whatever it means to you. But I think for now it's just like to keep this as your like little secret for now, and keep working towards it. And I think it will bring you a lot of good things, a lot of success in your own frame of reference. Yeah. So yeah, thanks for joining me. Consider leaving a like or subscribe maybe, or comment. Tell me how it resonates to your specific situation. Again, it's just a general reading, and yeah, I'm so glad you decided to click on this and watch this. Thanks so much for being here, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Hi there, Pile 2. So I'm going to do a little bit of a breakdown of the reading today. First, we'll have an energy check. Even before we start, I'm kind of feeling your energy is more like slow. Like you take things kind of slowly, or maybe you talk a little bit slowly. A little bit more chill than what is considered like conventional or normal. Nothing wrong with that. Like nothing, it's not bad or good. It's just an observation. But we'll do an energy check. If that doesn't resonate then I would advise you to check out other piles, or if none of that resonates, like the energy checks resonate, then maybe there's not a reading for you today. Then we'll get into the nature of your situation, like what is it about, like what situation you're thinking about, and then we'll pull one card for yes or no, and then we'll do a little bit of like a few cards to advise you what you should do in this situation to bring about your most desirable result. So for example, if it's a yes and you want it to be a no, then the advice would be like how you can turn that yes into a no. Or if it's a sorry, your energy is like very different from how I usually talk, so I'm trying, it's a bit difficult for me to tap into this energy right now. Yeah. So yeah, if it's a yes and you wanted that yes, then the advice would be how to bring about that this yes like quicker or more efficiently in your life. Okay. So we'll check this first, your energy check where you are in life right now. It's gonna be the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of swords. Okay, so I think right now you're kind of like at a crossroads. Maybe something has happened or like will happen really soon, like imminently, is that the word? Like a battle of some kind, or like some kind of, not necessarily a battle like literally, but maybe some kind of trial that you will have to go through soon, or you have gone through like recently, and it ended, maybe you won, but it was not something that you wanted necessarily. It's like it was in favor of no one, if that makes sense. Like maybe you had a falling out with a friend, or like, or your significant other, or whoever, or it doesn't have to be a person, it could be a thing. Like maybe you had an epiphany where you had to let go of something, or you had to quit your job or whatever, and like it feels like you kind of like on paper it seems like you won some type of thing. Maybe you got some money out of it, or like maybe you got something like materialistic out of it, but on the soul level it feels like it's a situation where everyone kind of lost. You can see this person is kind of looking back, like he has 3 swords and they had none of the swords. It seems like they kind of lay down their weapons, but like he doesn't seem well in this card, this print, he does seem a little bit happy, but I think that's kind of like, you know, like that kind of a sad smile. I don't know, I feel like this card usually, let me tell you, like this card usually is about like fighting and like cheating a little bit, but I don't think anyone cheated in this situation. I think like maybe you all kind of didn't see it coming, or like you knew it like subconsciously, but on a conscious level you never really expected this to be as severe as it was. Yeah, so I think that's where you are in life. You're kind of like dealing with the aftermath of something, or you're about to deal with an aftermath of something that's kind of, I don't know, it was tough. It was tough, or it's gonna be tough, but I think you're kind of feeling numb from it. Like you don't know where to go next from this point. This is kind of specific, so I don't know, maybe this group is like a very limited amount of people, but yeah, if that sounds like you, then we can continue. Let's pull some cards about, maybe you're asking about this situation too, because this situation is like the biggest one in your life right now, so we'll see if it's the same situation that you're asking about or something else completely different. But yeah, I'll pull 2 cards to see the nature of the situation you're asking about. So spirits, what are pile 2? Okay, the card just fell out. What are pile 2 situation what is the situation that they're asking about? Like, what is the nature? Okay, so we have 3 cards instead of 2. That's okay. And then we'll do yes or no to the situation that you're thinking about. Whatever question you ask, maybe it's an action on your part, like yes means you should do this, or no means you shouldn't do this, or it can be something that you don't have any control over. Either way, whatever you ask, is it going to be a yes or no for this situation? Okay. Okay. Too many cards. Spirits, just one, please. Spirits, say yes or no, or otherwise. I'm hearing like things are pretty much up in the air right now, and a lot of what you are going to do, or another party that's involved with this situation, what they are going to do is going to be very important in determining the yes or no in this situation. But yeah, I'm hearing like this is like what's most likely going to happen, but I think a lot of it has to do, like even just a slight thing can change this outcome. So take this with a grain of salt, I would say. Okay, now we'll see what you can do to change the situation for the better, or make it come faster for the better. Okay, take one more card for this, and then we'll take one more card from the Rider-Waite deck too. This is just a reprint, but you can find the Rider-Waite anywhere for this. This is Tarot of the Divine by Yoshitani. I'll link it down in the description. Okay, one more card, what you can do in this situation specifically. All right. Oh, also, I'm the kind of reader that I would take everything as upright. There's no reversed in my readings. If it's reversed, I'll bring it back to upright. That's just how I like to do things. A lot of readers take reversals, but personally, I do not. Okay, so what is this situation like? We have 8 of coins, 3 of cups, and 10 of swords. Okay. So think on the surface, or like on a conscious level, it was this. I feel like this is about like this situation, like whatever you're going through in your life. Maybe you're focusing on the situation you're asking about, but I feel like this situation you're asking about was, or is gonna be, or is a sacrifice. It's some kind of sacrifice. It's like something that a party does for another, for what they think is gonna be the greater good. Yeah. 3 of cups here, I'm thinking this could be involving many people. 3 of cups usually talks about partying, about socializing, and like communicating in a very like light and upbeat environment. So I'm feeling maybe this situation is involving many people. Even here, there are many like these like swans. There are many of them. So I feel like this could be like a company thing, or like school if you're still in school. Like on the surface, it feels like a sacrifice, like a pretty painful one, but deep down, I feel like it's even hitting you harder than you realize. Whatever this sacrifice is, maybe it's someone else's sacrifice that kind of hurting you, but whatever it is, I feel like you're kind of being overwhelmed by this, and you're like kind of drowning a little bit like this person. Yeah, so in summary, a social situation I'm hearing, in a social setting like a company or a class, or like whatever, that's involving many people, and it's a sacrifice of some kind, and it's hitting you really hard. Yeah, I'm still hearing like this kind of like blindsided energy of like, yeah, you didn't know that it would come to this point. Maybe you did do things like intentionally, but you didn't know it's gonna be this bad. Or like someone else did things like with a purpose, but they didn't know that it's gonna get to this point, essentially. So yeah, we'll see. It's pretty specific, but you know, like a lot of this can apply to many people as well. So I don't know. This energy is kind of weird, not gonna lie. Like it's like someone that I feel like you are someone that if we meet in real life, you're gonna be so different from me. So that's why it's a little bit hard for me to like channel your energy. Um, but yeah, so we'll get to yes or no. Again, like I said before, it's like most likely gonna happen, but a lot of things can contribute to it being this way or another. If you get what I mean, I think you do. Um, okay, 5 of Cups. So I think the answer is no at this point. Like that's what most likely gonna happen. But again, like you can do things to change it. Um, it feels like whatever this situation is, what's most likely gonna happen right now if things don't change is that it's gonna be if let's say this is like rock bottom. This feels like you've gotten to a better point, but you're still kind of like moping over it, or someone else is moping, or both of you. There's a lot of like moping around, like that word moping. It's really like coming through. And then we'll get to where you like what you can do, like what area in your life you can focus on to bring about a different ending, because I feel like you don't want this unless you're kind of like sadistic. Yeah, but let's see what you can do to change the situation. But who knows, like maybe you are, and maybe you wanted someone to hurt like this, or like maybe you want this grieving period to still be elongated for whatever reason. Then we'll see if the advice is like either to make this a different situation to yes, from a no to yes, or to make this no happen quicker. Yeah. So we have 6 of Swords. Okay. 2 of Cups. Okay. And 4 of Wands. This is my favorite card from tarot. Like any deck of tarot, I love 4 of Wands. But yeah, that's beside the point. Sorry. So yeah, 6 of Swords talks about moving on. You can see these two people talks about like moving past rough waters into calmer waters, and it's about like not looking back. You can see both characters here, they're not looking back at all, and they're just like looking forward to the future. And 2 of Cups. Okay, let's just continue with this first. I feel like okay, this is kind of like not relevant to the actual situation on hand, but I feel like you're a very indecisive, and like your brain's kind of like all over the place, which is not a bad thing. My brain's kind of like that too, but I think you're kind of like you can't really focus that well. Yeah, I don't know, that's just a side observation. But yeah, 6 of Swords, yeah, it's about moving on. It's about, so I think the first thing that you should focus on is to get over whatever this is. Like I feel like this is a situation that the outcome is already there. So like this outcome is like even like the further outcome of the situation, but like the on paper outcome is already happened, has already happened. So I feel like what's best for you to do is just to move on from this, and or try to move on. I know moving on is like not really, it's easier said than done, and there's many factors to it, and it depends on the situation too. I think like one of the best things that you can do right now in this situation is to focus on what's gonna happen and not focus on what has already happened, because you can't change the past. No one can change the past. And like there will be, this is kind of like a confirmation that there will be calmer waters. Like it's not gonna be like this. You're not gonna drown again. So you can trust in the future. it could come through you through signs, but even if there are no tactical signs, I think you're being inclined to believe in the best and not believe in the worst. I know it's really hard to do that, especially when you don't have guidance or like real life signs, and you just have to trust in like that kind of intuition that you have. Um, yeah, but like this is saying like you should focus on what comes next, what now, you know. Um, Two of Cups usually talks about like a romantic relationship. This is like a soulmate card. But you don't have to. You don't have to be in a relationship or like have any interest in a romantic relationship. All this talks about is like balance, is being committed and like kind of filling each other's cups. So it could be a relationship in your life that it's a completely platonic or like family, or like maybe not a relationship with anyone at all. Maybe an animal. Um, Maybe it's your relationship with yourself. But it's like finding the balance again, and trying, because I feel like what happened here is like things got out of balance. Maybe this whatever situation is, one party or one thing was happening too much when the other thing wasn't happening at all, if that makes any sense. For example, like you're in a relationship with someone, it doesn't have to be romantic, and they're giving too much and you're giving nothing, or vice versa, you're giving too much and they're giving nothing. So I think that it was what caused the problem and what caused like you feeling overwhelmed and you feel like you you're drowning. Honestly, I just want to give you a big hug right now. Sorry, buddy. Like this is a tough energy to be in. Um yeah, your advice on this situation is to try to move on, try to look forward rather than backwards, and try to find things that fulfill you and bring things back into balance. Maybe you've been neglecting yourself, and maybe you've been neglecting some relationships or certain things in your life that really brings you a lot of joy, or like used to bring you joy. And like this is encouraging you to like focus on those things and not focus on whatever this is. Again, I know it's really really hard, but this is like what you should at least try to focus on. um and then finally we have Four of Wands. This is like celebration card. This is a wedding, kind of, yeah, just a celebration. So I think this is telling you to either it's telling you to have trust that things are gonna be good and you're gonna get to a point where you can celebrate this and you can celebrate many aspects of your life, or it's saying like right now you can try to be grateful and like think about like the good things in your life. It's kind of like, I don't know, I don't know if this is the right thing to say, but like gaslighting yourself, question mark, question mark, gaslighting yourself into thinking that there are just good things and there are no bad things. It's kind of like a happy ending card. Um, but yeah, like on the long term, maybe it's not good to lie to yourself, but maybe for now, just like try to focus on the good things and try to tell yourself that there are only good things, just for now, just for a few, just for this healing process, for it to go better. Because sometimes you just need that affirmation from yourself, from others, that things are going to be okay. Because it feels like you kind of hit rock bottom, and like my heart goes out to you. But yeah, this is really tough. Like I know all these is like really, it seems like really hard to do, but just take baby steps and like just set your intention to become more optimistic and become more believing of whatever you're getting, like believing that rejection is just divine protection and things like that. I know it's like sounds very cliche, but when you're at the bottom, like you really have to, yeah, it's kind of like, a pendulum, right? You have to go all the way to one side to get to all the way to the other side. And like ultimately, or like, no, that's not how it works. Like you have to go to an extreme to come back into balance in the middle. And that's kind of like what I'm hearing right now. Like you really have, because you're at an extreme low, you have to like get to like really aspire for the extreme high for you to come back into the balance, back to become normal. um might not say everything is normal and nothing is at the same time. So whatever you have of the notion normal, like don't like be too hard on yourself. You're not quote unquote normal, if you know what I mean. I don't know where that came from, but I just feel compelled to say that. Okay, so finally we'll pull some cards. We'll pull 3 cards from just general advice on your life in general, not about this situation. Could be about this situation, but it could be about other things as well. Yeah, I'm using the this deck. I'm using this deck by Nero the Witch and Camelia Pham. Like, it's the Fairies Oracle. I really love it. I love the art and I love fairies in general. So yeah, highly recommend. But I'll link it in the description. But yeah, we will look at just general advice that spirits have for you about how you should go about in your life. Maybe it's about this situation. Maybe it's about this situation. Maybe it's about another situation. Maybe 2 of these situations are the same. Yeah, but just like general advice on what you should focus on now. Yeah. Okay. 2 more cards, spirits. And then 1 more. Okay. So we have naughty. Okay. And we have wayward path. Interesting. And we have generous spirit. I think interesting. This is giving very youthful energy. I'm hearing you like to do pranks, or like someone around you, like maybe you don't like to do it on your own, but maybe when you're with a specific person, you two kind of do a lot of pranks on other people, if that makes sense. I don't know why that came from, but if you have a person like that in your life, or like if you have that kind of dynamic, I think one of the advice is just to follow that, or like focus on that relationship, focus on that dynamic and like grow it, because I feel like there might be some merit from that. That's like unexpected merit that you might get from that relationship or dynamic. Or if you like to prank on your friends, then this is saying like, maybe it's not good all the time, but at this time maybe it will bring you some kind of perspective. Wayward path, usually this talks about like being kind of unconventional. I'm seeing this image of like Scrooge, is that his name, from like Christmas Carol, like that, the old guy. So I feel like you're kind of in this energy of like grumpy old man. It doesn't matter if you're a woman or a man or non-binary, whatever, but you're in this energy of like being kind of grumpy, being kind of like like mornings, or like things like that. Like I feel like spirits is saying like, seeing what you can take from this energy. Like, it's okay if you're in a more like grumpy mood, like you literally gone through a lot of shit here, so it's okay to like be a little bit upset at the moment. But I'm seeing like, maybe you should try to find lessons that you can learn by being this mood. Like, maybe before, maybe you were a more of like, whatever, like you just do whatever other people ask you to do. And then now that you're in this mood, you're kind of in like a hermit, grumpy old man mood. You don't really say yes that often. And maybe spirits is saying like, in the future, you can like, not to say that you should be grumpy all the time, but like maybe you can learn that, maybe saying no once in a while is not too bad, like trying to, maybe you can, from this mood, maybe you can develop like healthier boundaries and like tighter boundaries around things that you don't really want to do, and like you're not gonna be like, be less of a yes man, if that makes sense. But here, generous spirit, I think the final advice is just to be generous to yourself, be generous to others, and to the environment. This feels like very like nature based. I mean, all of these cards are kind of like in nature. This one is specific. It's like telling you to be more generous to things that maybe you don't have control over, or like someone else doesn't have control over. One good example is like, you know, you go to a restaurant and like the waiter kind of like makes a mistake, or like they had to turn you down, or they had to turn something down because of like the restaurant policy. And like maybe you are affected by it, and maybe you are very annoyed by it, but like don't put it out on the waiter, you know, like it's not the waiter's fault. Like focus on who is the real enemy. That's what I'm hearing. Hunger Game vibes. But like just like focus on what you can do, and like being more generous, being more forgiving to both yourself and others around you. And maybe you will, yeah, this kind of like very opposite images, but like you can learn something from both. Like you can learn good things from here, and you can also learn good things from here. But yeah, that's all I have for you guys today. Thanks so much for being here. I hope this was okay. Your energy is just like very different from mine. Again, not good or bad. It's just very different. So I had a hard time kind of tapping into this energy at first, but I hope it was helpful in some way, question mark, or at least it was entertaining. Thanks for being here. If you'd like to consider liking or subscribing or commenting, whatever, YouTube stuff. But yeah, I'll see you on the next time, if I ever make a second video. We'll see. Bye. Okay, pile 3. I'm gonna do a little breakdown of how the reading's gonna go, and we'll get into it. Okay, so first we'll do an energy check. So usually an energy check is how you are in your life right now. If this part doesn't resonate, I would recommend you to check out the other piles. If none of the energy checks resonate to you, then I would say there's not a reading for you in this video. Sorry. But then after that, we'll get into your specific situation, whatever you're thinking about that you want to ask about. See what it is, essentially, or just the energy surrounding it. And then we'll do one card for yes or no. So whatever you're thinking about, like what question you have for that situation, it can be like an action on your part, or it can be something like completely out of your control. And then we'll get into what you can do to make that yes or no become whatever you want. So let's say if it's a yes and you wanted it to be a no, then the advice part will be how you can turn that yes into a no. If it's a yes and you wanted that yes, then the advice will be how to make that yes happen earlier or more efficiently. Yeah, we'll get into it. So for your energy check, we have Page of Wands. So Page of Wands is about beginning of a journey. It feels like, I think whatever journey you're on right now, maybe you just started it. So let's say first year in college, or first month on the job, or like your first week at your dorm, or like first week at a new apartment. Whatever it is, you see a lot of potential in it. You kind of look up to this thing. So maybe it's something that you wanted to do for a long time and you're finally doing it. So maybe you just got a new job offer and it's like your dream job or something. That's just an example. There's a lot of fiery energy here. So you're very excited for your future. You're very excited to like keep going, because you're just started, or like you just got to a new stage of this journey. I'm also seeing like this feels very hot, like the desert, and this person's wearing a lot of clothes. So I think there might be like like an underlying sense of like not belonging, or like imposter syndrome a little bit. So that could be like something that you haven't unpacked, or like you're kind of like brushing it off because the assignment is so big that you wanted to focus on being excited. You don't want to focus on other problems that you might need to deal with. But yeah, that's where you are in life right now. So if that sounds like you, then we can continue. Okay, so what is pile 3 situation? What is the situation they're thinking about? What is the vibes? What are the vibes of that situation? Okay, we had this for pile 2 as well. So if you feel compelled to, you might want to watch that one too. You might have some like complimentary messages. But what is the situation pile 3 is going through? What is it gonna be like? If it's a future thing. Okay. Then we'll pull one card for, is this gonna be yes or no? Or whatever. Okay. Is it gonna be yes or no, spirits? I'm just reshuffling. Is it gonna be yes, spirits? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes or no? I'm hearing you're very calm and collected. Okay, cool. And then we'll pull a few cards for what you can do to make the situation better. If it's not what you wanted, then how you can bring about your desired outcome. Spirits, what is your advice for them in this specific situation? Okay, and then we'll take one card from the Rider-Waite deck. This is just a reprint, so it's not as accurate, but we're using it today. So one more card for advice for this situation. One card, please, Spirit. One. Okay. Cool. So we have 8 of coins here, and we have Knight of coins, and we have 5 of swords. Interesting. We also have 5 of swords in pile 2, so maybe this pile is very connected to pile 2 as well. But yeah, essentially, I think the situation is maybe you or another party, whatever you're thinking about, might feel betrayed or feel like they or you put in a lot of effort for nothing. I keep hearing like maybe one of you or like the opposite side keeps saying like it's for good, it's for the greater good, but actually like from their perspective or from your perspective, it's all for waste. It's all for nothing. It feels like you're all putting in so much pain and money and time and whatever effort into something that is not fruitful at all. And you feel kind of betrayed, or you feel kind of it was like a waste of time at the end. Yeah, I think this is from your perspective. Yeah. So if you did something, or if someone else did something for you, or someone else did something for other people, you feel like it was a waste of time, and you feel like they put that, or like you put in effort for nothing. So right now you're kind of trying to rebuild. Nine of Coins is about rebuilding, and it's about like cultivating something. So maybe you got to a patch of land that you never think that you would get to, or like metaphorically, or maybe literally too. Maybe you move somewhere. Yeah, maybe this can be relating to this. Maybe. I think not entirely, because like this is about like being excited, right? This on the other hand feels like being frustrated over something. So yeah, it's kind of like juxtaposing, to be honest. Knight of Coins, Page of Wands, they're all looking the same direction. So maybe it's like things that are adjacent to each other, so these things might correlate but not exactly the same thing. Knight of Coins, yeah, I think like I said before, it's like cultivating. I think you're trying to pick up the pieces and like trying to look at everything in hindsight. Even though I feel like there was a lot of hardship that you went through, or you know that will happen soon. Yeah, and then you will have to rebuild. Yeah, this feels like an end of something and then a new kind of beginning, but not entirely. This feels like transitional stage. It's not like you're not quite there yet on the new beginning. You're just kind of like trying to have this new beginning, but you're failing a little bit because you're like grasping at straws, if that is the right phrase. But yeah, it feels like you're not there yet, you know? Like you're not there yet. I'm hearing Happiness, or Was It Happy by Taylor Swift. Um, whereas like you haven't met the new me yet, like she would forgive you or something like that. Like it's giving that energy. Like you want to be better and you want to like look at everything in the big picture and like not be too petty about it, but you're kind of still in this energy of like mourning over something that you lost, or like mourning the time or the effort, or like, you know, things that you think were wasted. um but yeah, in terms of like a yes or no, I don't know what your question is specifically, but it seems like a yes. It seems like a yes that you already know in your soul. The High Priestess is about like inner wisdom and intuition, so I think whatever you are asking about, I think you already know the answer, and that is it's leaning towards most likely yes. So I think, yeah, that's basically it. This is like super straightforward. Like you know deep down, maybe you don't acknowledge it to yourself, but yeah, you know it like deep in your soul that it's like most likely a yes. Um, so yeah, it can be, again, I don't know how that coordinate, like what kind of question did you ask for this, but situation's kind of bad and you're trying to get better from this situation, and the answer is yes. um, so we'll see your advice for this situation. Again, like I said, it can be an advice to turn this yes into a no if that's what you want, or to get to this yes better, to like bring it about better, or like admit that to yourself, whatever, if this is what you wanted. um, yeah, we'll see. The Lovers, okay, and Star, okay, two major arcana, three major arcanas. um, King of Swords, okay, and finally we have Three of Coins. Okay, so I think the Lovers is just talks about like balance, like yin and yang. um Talks about like compatible energy. It also talks about like opposites attract, like things like that. Usually it talks about, well, yeah, self-explanatory like love and stuff, but like I think in your case it could talk about, hmm, coming into like thinking about things from a point of view of love and not like fear, because I feel like whatever happened here, it might have happened because you did things out of fear, or like the other person or the other people, whatever, whoever this is, they did something, or you did something out of fear instead of love. And I think your advice about the situation, if what you are asking is like how do you get over this, and like how do you get to a point where, you know, the new you is here, um so to speak. I think the advice is just to kind of treat everything as more connected, and like being more connected with your emotional side, and love more, and like do things out of love, like intentionally thinking about like what would love do in this situation, what would fear do, and try not to go down the path of like fear, because a lot of things kind of comes down between love and fear, and obviously the best way to go is just to go with love. But life is complicated and sometimes we can't do that, and it's still valid. Like you can only do the best you can do in that moment. Sorry, that tangent came out of nowhere, but I feel like you needed to hear that. The Star talks about being hopeful, being like having a wish, and like that wish coming true. Because this is in the advice, this is just saying to be more optimistic, to like look for light more. I feel like you maybe in the past, hmm, I'm trying to like, I'm thinking of like connecting it with this, because you can see like around the frame of this one it's pretty dark, but then there's like a light background like in the background. So like light sky in the background. So I'm thinking like, don't surround yourself with darkness if that's not what you want. I feel like maybe even literally, I don't know, maybe your lifestyle is kind of like that. Maybe you need to get more daylight, or like not daylight, but like light in general. I feel like light is something that you're probably lacking in this situation. And yeah, it's kind of like mirroring this as well, like the moon and then the star here. So whatever it is, bring light to the situation. In a different sense of the word light, it can mean like bring more lightness, like don't make it too heavy for yourself. Maybe it was a traumatic thing. I don't know, whatever situation it is. Maybe it was kind of traumatic for you to deal with, but maybe something lighthearted can help you deal with this better and can bring about like a more desirable outcome. You might think like you have to go like all serious. Let's just say, for example, like maybe whatever you're asking, maybe this situation has come to a point where you kind of got out. Maybe you got into a fight and you got out of a fight with a loved one, for example, and you're asking like, is this gonna continue? Like, is this has any merit, like moving forward? Let's just say that. And the answer is yes. And I think the advice is just to, and yeah, like for that example, like maybe you might think that, you know, the only way through is to have a serious conversation and to be like all heavy and like talk about like really deep stuff. But this is saying like maybe start with something like more lighthearted, could like bring more lightness to the situation. It might work better, you know, it might work better than you ever expected. Yeah. I hope that makes sense. And then King of Swords, this is saying like King of Swords usually talks about like someone who's been through a lot, and like um yeah, they have a lot of walls up because um maybe there was a lot of like trauma in their past. uh I think like this doesn't really like relate to this situation in the sense that it's not like putting walls up to any the other person in this situation or the other thing in this situation. It could be whatever. um it's like about putting walls up to people outside. I feel like you're being called to um this card too, actually. I feel like you're being called to like not have a lot of people involved, because like in these there's like two people, right? And then there's one. So most of this, like, you do have to work out between yourselves, between you and whatever this is. It could be like someone else, or it could be an opportunity, or like a place. It has to be between those two parties. It cannot be, it should not involve too many people. That's what I'm hearing. So you're trying to deal with this. um maybe not do maybe not like overshare too much with the people around you, or like the people that it's not relevant, or you know that they're not gonna help. um on the other hand, we have Three of Coins. This talks mostly about like collaboration and learning from others, but I'm hearing like maybe something you can learn from, learn you can learn from somewhere else to deal with this situation. But it's not necessarily like talking to people like face to face, or like through text, like directly. I'm hearing like maybe you can learn certain things to learn how to deal with this situation, or like how to make it better through watching something, or like listening, or you know, not like eavesdropping, but like listening to music and like finding the messages in there, or watching a movie and like seeing how a similar situation is dealt with. I'm hearing something like that, or like watching videos, like YouTube videos, or learning from somewhere else but not directly, if that makes sense, or like learning but not giving too much of your situation. Yeah, the biggest thing is just to bring love and light back into the situation, and like think about things in a more holistic kind of manner, and just not see things, like the advice is to to don't see things as like isolated, because everything is kind of connected. Even this situation, even though it's like big, it's different from the biggest situation in your life, like what you're going through, but it's all still connected. It's still like adjacent, you know what I mean? So yeah, I think finally we'll pull some cards for the advice, just general advice of your life. It doesn't have to be relating to this situation in specific. But yeah, pull some cards from, this is of the Fairy Oracle deck by Nero the Witch and Camelia Pham. It's my favorite artist. Yeah, this deck's really beautiful. I would highly recommend it. I'll link all the decks in the description. Yeah. Spirits, what do pile 3 need to focus on? I'm hearing, this is very random and it might be only relating to like a few of you, but I'm hearing some of you might have problems with like enunciating words. Maybe you had a small voice, or like you have like problems with speech or like stuttering, and like you got through it and you got over it as time goes on, but sometimes you still like slip back to it. Maybe you have the lips or something. Yeah, that's just like really random, but take that as you will. Advice, spirits. Okay. And then final one. Okay, we have bad company. We have sacred treasure. It's very, the composition is very similar, but it's like completely different cards. Really interesting, contrasting like content. And then we'll have the elements. Okay, pile 2 also got this. So yeah, you might want to check out pile 2 because there was a lot of things connecting. Okay, so bad company. I think this is saying to cut out bad company, and like it's kind of relating to this card of like, you know, it's none of some people's business that what you're going through. So like, if you sense someone else is a bad company, you don't need to share this with them, even if it's like your family or something. If you think that they're not going to add anything to the situation, you have the right to like keep things to yourself if it's your personal business, you know. Sacred treasure. This is just, I think this is saying like to hold on to things that you really value. Maybe it's not something that is conventionally like precious, and like it's not like, you know, like maybe you have some like a passion project and other people don't believe in it, but if you believe in it, this is saying like trust yourself and like believe in yourself and believe in this project if it's like what you truly want to do. This might have nothing to do with the situation, or it does, I don't know, but like, yeah, I think whatever this is, like you're being called to just like, you know, be more conscious of what you do on a day-to-day basis. Like, is it like things that you do out of fear or out of love? That kind of comes back to like fear or love. It really comes back. The elements, this is just saying like pay attention to the different elements of your life. There are many things happening. Like life is very complicated. And sometimes when you're like too excited, or like you feel too strongly, like too excited or too desperate about something, then it might kind of, you know, turn everything else away, and like you might not see things right in front of your eyes. So this is just saying like pay attention to like all different aspects of your life, and like not neglect, try to not neglect one thing out of favor of another, you know what I mean? And yeah, and I think this is also saying to connect with nature and seeing what nature has to say about this situation, or like whatever situation you're struggling with, because I think for you specifically, there's a lot of answers that you can find from nature. Like go on a walk or something, you might have an epiphany, or like you might see a tree that has some kind of shape that kind of alludes to a solution. I don't know why that came through, but Yeah. Yeah, I think that's all I have for you today. Thanks so much for joining me. It was interesting reading for you. Your energy is like really fiery. I don't know. There's something about it. It's like a little bit mysterious, but also a little bit of like enthusiastic, and you kind of balance that really well. Um, but yeah, it was really interesting. Yeah, if you like this, if it resonated, leave a comment. Let me know how I did, or you can like or subscribe. Yeah, thanks so much. Bye. Hi, Pile 4. So I'm gonna do a breakdown of how the reading's gonna go. So first we have the energy check. So it's gonna be like where you are in your life right now. And if the energy check doesn't resonate, then I would recommend you to check out other piles. If none of the energy checks on other piles resonate, then there's probably no reading for you in this video. I'm sorry. But yeah, if it does resonate, then we'll move on to um, the kind of explanation a little bit about your situation, like what's the vibe of the situation, and then we'll see if your question is yes or no with one card, and then we'll do a few cards as advice for what you should do and what you could do in this situation specifically. If you wanted the answer to be yes and it turned out to be no, the advice would to help you to turn that no into a yes. And if it's a yes and you want it to be a yes, then the advice will be for how to make that happen quicker or more efficiently. Um, so yeah, we'll get into the energy check now. The world. Okay. I don't know. This is very random. It looks like two Y's here. But yeah, the world usually talks about an ending, like an end of a cycle. It also can talk about something being whole and like seeing things for what they are, like as a whole, instead of like seeing individual parts. It also talks about traveling or like moving somewhere, or things coming to maybe not an end, but like like an end before a new beginning. If that makes sense, like things kind of looping back on itself, and talks about infinity, um, the concept of things that are limitless and things like that. I think in your case, maybe you just finished something, or you're about to finish like a big project, or like you're about to like achieve something, and in your soul, yeah, it feels more like things like that ending's like impending. It's not really like happened already. um and I think you're feeling very calm and like at peace about this development, this ending. Maybe you've been anticipating it for a while, and you feel kind of like calm and collected about it. And yeah, this is very straightforward. But I'll move on to the situation you're asking about. So this is where you are in life. So if it resonates, then keep watching this pile. But yeah, so spirits, what are pile four's situation? Like, what's the vibe of the situation? Okay, 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 cool. Um, maybe I'll get all the cards out first, and then to their question, whatever the question may be, is it a yes or no? Okay, this came right out. Cool. Um, and then we'll pull 3 cards for your advice for this situation, and then we'll pull 1 card from the other deck, like this deck, because right now I'm using Tarot of the Divine. I'll link everything in the description. Yeah, what is the advice for this situation? How to make it better, or like get to a desirable outcome? Okay, that's too many cards, spirits. How to get it to a better outcome. We haven't turned around any cards, but I'm hearing if you want to change it, it seems to be like It's gonna be a lot of work. I don't want to scare you, but it seems like if you didn't want this outcome, you would have to do you have a long way to go until you get to no, because this is a yes card. To me, at least, this is a yes card in this situation. So, whatever your question is, if you wanted it to be a no, you're gonna have to do a lot for it to get to a no. But yeah, I'll get one more card from the Rider-Waite deck. It's just a reprint. Yeah, one more card for advice for this situation. What you should do. Okay. So let's see what the situation is like right now. 4 of Cups. Okay. 7 of Swords. Okay. And 3 of Swords. Okay. So, situation right now. It feels like there are... Interesting. I never noticed this before, but these two, this person and this shadow, kind of look like the same character, doesn't it? But yeah, could be like maybe you're dealing with one person, and like they all have like East Asian influences. No, like even this fox, I feel like it's like a Chinese like folktale or something. Yeah, so maybe you are from like East Asia or things like that, or like around that area, or like you have, or this situation is something like very stereotypical in like East Asian fairy tales. Yeah. Anyways, I think whatever the situation is, one party or the other or both, um, if there are two opposing parties, there might be more, but one of them or one of you, um, might not have seen things for the way they are, might have not have, might have like illusions about the situation, and because of that they might have acted rashly, or they might have cheated in whatever way it is. It doesn't have to be like cheating as in like having an affair or something. It can be like doing things that kind of like fueling betrayal, like maybe they feel like they betrayed themselves, or if you did this then maybe you feel like you betrayed yourself. um and because of that, one or both or more parties in this situation were hurt, like deeply, like heartbroken about this. So it feels like kind of like a falling out, I would say, or like maybe someone was caught cheating or caught doing something they shouldn't have, and it kind of hurt the other party or hurt both parties very, very deeply. Yeah, it's a very heavy energy where maybe one party didn't notice it at first. This feels like, being oblivious as well, and then someone else swooped in and said, hey, oh, I heard someone was doing this thing, and then this person kind of caught the other person in the act, because like I said, it's like the same person. Yeah, I think so. I think it's the same person. um yeah, there's a lot about shadows as well. Like, look, they're both like silhouettes. This is a shadow, just like a silhouette or person. So like dark and light kind of might have something to do with it. Maybe you both work in like something that has to do with lighting. I don't know why that came out really strongly. So like maybe for a few of you, maybe both of you work on lighting on a film set or something, and this might have to do with that. Um, yeah, it doesn't have to be that. It's just like a message that came through. Um, yeah. So the answer to whatever question you have about this situation is yes. Um, this card talks about like learning from others and like collaborating as well. So maybe I'm hearing a few different scenarios, but yeah, if yours isn't listed, doesn't mean that this reading's, yeah, take what you feel is resonating. But I'm thinking like, if it's a yes to go collaborate with someone else, if this was a collaboration that kind of fell through, then spirits is saying like yes to collaborating with someone else. Or if this is something that fell through and you want to fix it, I think this is yes, you can fix it, but you have to like learn from others, or learn from the mistakes that you made, learn from each other. um yeah, whatever your question is yes. Yeah, it's just like that, just straightforward like that. And advice, some advice regarding this situation. We have 4 coins, so 2 fours, and we have 8 of coins. Okay, this came out in like I think almost every reading so far. So maybe a lot of you are kind of struggling with like sacrifices and stuff. And finally we have King of Cups. Okay, interesting. Let's start with this. The King of Cups, I think in this deck, the King of Cups, he looks kind of like content. He doesn't look like he will move necessarily. It seems like he kind of like adapted to his environment, because you can see the green and the blues are kind of like repeating, and a little bit of red in the back too with the boat. I think this is like, it's kind of giving me like, what's that term when you blend into the environment, like camouflage? Yeah, camouflage. So like, I think for now, what's best to do about this situation that will bring out your desirable outcome is to kind of adapt to your surroundings. So like, let's say if this was like a job thing, like thing that happened at your job or like at your work, just like read the room, basically. Just read the room and kind of adjust your energy to fit with whatever is in the room, and like fit your vibe with that. This card very much feels like suffering for nothing, or like not suffering for nothing, but like sacrificing and like not letting the other parties know that you're hurting, because it feels like silent like sacrificing. If you know this fairy tale, then you know like she's doing this to save her brothers who were turned into swans. But yeah, that's the whole thing. But like, yeah, I think even with this, like 4 coins, this feels like kind of like silently suffering a little bit. I don't know. Maybe ultimately getting help and like finding comfort from the outside is good. But for now, I think you're being advised to get what you want, at least. To like kind of let it be hidden. I'm hearing like hidden in plain sight too. So maybe it's like not even being that discreet, but like showing hints to those who get it, you know, like those who get it. But keeping your trauma, keeping this, whatever this is, like as a secret for now. And like 4 coins also talks about being very reserved and being very like stingy with money. So what I'm hearing, like a very stupid example, but like if let's say if you found out someone was cheating and you were thinking about like hiring a secret agent, or like someone to go undercover and like like a private detector to like find proof. This is advising against that. Like don't don't outsource that. This is saying like just keep it to yourself for now, and try to like through that process you can find healing, like by kind of getting back to the normal and like being normal. You might find some peace with that. Like maybe this is your way of healing. Like maybe other people, like most people I know at least, they heal by like, you know, bringing out their problems and like dealing with it head on. But I think there might be a point where you need to do that. But I think right now you're being advised to just like, you know, just have a sense of normalcy for now, because I think that healing will come later. But for now, like having a sense of normalcy and routine and like being in company with other people that gives you a sense of like everyday life might be beneficial, and you might want to stay in this energy for a bit before you like deal with this head on. Yeah, okay, so now we'll move on to the final part. Just some advice, just general advice. It doesn't have to be focus. This can be about other parts of your life. It doesn't have to be related to this situation. It could be. Again, just take whatever resonates, and if it doesn't, let it fly. Okay. Spirit. So what should pile 4 focus on right now in their life in general? Like, what can they do to bring... Okay, 3 cards just came out all at once. Cool. So we have North, South, East, West, and we have Ignite Your Fire, and we have Overflowing Wealth. So I think what this means is North, South, East, West, first of all, talks about seeing things in the big picture, and kind of like, this kind of feels like, I don't know, to me at least, it feels like kind of villains. You know, in Kingdom Hearts 1, this is a very like out of pocket reference, but in Kingdom Hearts 1, basically there's a bunch of Disney villains, and they kind of have their own lair, and they kind of watch over Sora and Goofy and Donald in a little cauldron kind of thing, or like magic, you know, crystal ball, whatever. This feels like you doing that, like maybe you know more about someone else, and you're kind of not stalking, but like kind of keeping an eye on them. I don't know why that just came through, but yeah, it feels like looking at things in a big picture and trying to be more observant of your surroundings. What else? Yeah, and like, if this relates to the situation, and you know someone's cheating or like doing something shady, this is saying like to observe more and like collect more proof, you know. If it doesn't relate to that, then yeah, it's just about like zooming out and looking at things in a different perspective than you normally do. Ignite your fire. This is saying just to follow your passions, follow your heart, follow lust as well. I don't know why that's coming through, but maybe it's something that you wanted to do, and it's like your desire in whatever sense that is. This is saying like ignite that and follow that. Maybe that will bring you some peace, either in this situation or some other situation. But yeah, overflowing wealth. This is talking about gratitude. So I think what you should do is just to notice what you already have and focus on that, because this energy in this situation that you're asking about, it feels a lot about loss, a lot about things that you lack. So I think Spirit is telling, like, instead of focusing on that, like maybe focusing on things that you already have and things that you have been getting, or like you have had for a long time, and you're kind of like taking for granted. So like focusing on having gratitude for things that you already have might be beneficial at this point. But yeah, I think that's all the messages I have for you today. Thanks so much for being on this journey with me. Thanks so much for watching through all this. If you liked it, if it resonated, leave a comment or like or subscribe if you want to. And yeah, see you next time. Bye.